tuning in live today, early up this morning, man. Doing my first live stream in a long time. It's my birthday today, guys. I turned 42 today. Up out making some plays, man. Early this morning, and I just want to come on real quick. I have some thoughts, in my mind. We tried to do the podcast on Monday. That's the day we tried to do it, but unfortunately, we was having a lot of technical technology issues. We still doing some rebranding things between me and Greg, and so we haven't really been live streaming as much lately. But we gonna continue starting next week. Continue to start back live streaming more and pick up to the content that we was doing, like we was doing last year. Just New Year, trying to get some things underneath us. A lot of changes going on personally with us, with our careers and things like that. And that's why we haven't been streaming or putting out as much content that we have been doing in the past. So I want to get that housekeeping stuff out the way, man. And I really want to come on today, real quick. Now, just in my thoughts today, man. And I seen something on ESPN, the other day, and they were talking about the SEC versus the Big Ten, and that now that it looks like the SEC is no longer the dominant conference when it comes to college football. And I have to sit back and look and say, yeah, man, I think that it's a growing trend that the ACC is not as dominant. If you look at the last two national champions, they came from the Big Ten. And the last time that happened, and I don't know if Nebraska was in the Big Ten when it was or whenever. Well, I'm just using Nebraska because they're currently in the Big Ten. But the last time we had back-to-back Big Ten champions was in 94, 95. And I say all that because that hasn't happened in a long time. And if you look at the current landscape of college football, you're starting to realize that the SEC is not as dominant. Now, don't get me wrong, the SEC still has good college football play in that conference. But I think the ship is starting to sail to the Big Ten. And you just look at the last 2 years, some of the top heavy teams in the SEC that we know of, the Georgias, the Alabamas, the LSUs, Florida, they haven't been so dominant these last couple years. Now they've won national championships, obviously, but just in the last say 3 4 years, they just haven't been as dominant as they were of years of yesteryears. You know what I'm saying, man? And yeah, man. I mean, it's just the writings on the wall, man. That not all the best talent is in the South no more. And a lot of these guys with the NIL, they're going other places, and they're getting that bag, man. And no longer that these teams, and my co-host Greg mentioned this, these SEC teams can't sit on talent. Hell, nobody can't sit on talent anymore. You got a 5 star that's ready to play now, and you got another 5 star that's balling. You at risk of losing that other 5 star, man. He might want to go somewhere and play right away. So the SEC, man, yeah, man, it's not as dominant as it seems. But I do want to talk about the college playoff too a little bit as well, man, because I think when you look at this thing, man, in totality, that right now it's the college playoff is basically the SEC Big Ten playoff. When it comes to super conferences, man. ACC, the Big 12, and a lot of these other conferences, they're not going to get as much love as the SEC and the Big Ten because these guys have a lot of blue blood schools in these conferences, and their pockets are deep. I don't see like any opportunities or national champions, coming from other conferences, man. I just don't see it. And it was also too on Twitter or somewhere on social media they projected like the next like 10 national championships in the college playoff era with 12 teams currently. And there was no programs that outside of that's been not winning that championship. It ain't been Ohio State, the Alabamas, the Florida States, the Floridas, the teams that we used to seeing winning national championships. Basically the same teams, man, that's gonna be winning these championships because it's gonna be like the rich gonna keep getting richer, man, when it comes to NIL and money and things like that. I mean, there's already been stuff talked about the Ohio State, if they paid for they national championship because I want to say Ohio State probably had one of the highest paid NIL teams or whatever. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these guys got paid, but they got a national championship out of it. And that's another question that's being brought up in college football right now is, is they're going to do some type of salary cap or, you know what I'm saying? Or are they going to, make it where it's an even playing ground, man. And I just think right now, when you just look at college football, man, it's in a space that we haven't seen in a long. It's new for everybody, man. We are navigating this thing together, and I mean, man, it's just interesting to see how this thing's gonna be looking next year. I still do like Alabama as not sorry, Texas as the favorite to win the college playoff next year, man. I think when you got a guy like Arch Manning, uh, clearly he's going to probably be a clear favorite for Heisman this upcoming season. And then look at that roster what Texas got, man. They losing a lot, but they still got they reloaded, man. The only question is about Texas is will they be able to get over the SEC hump and win the SEC? We see that they can hang with the big dogs in the SEC. I think the next step is for these guys to actually win it. We know they can beat Alabama, they can beat SEC teams, but you got to win the SEC, bro. And I think that's going to be the big thing. I think Arch Manning can do it for them, man. Honestly, I think Arch Manning was a better quarterback than Quinn Ewers late in the season, man. I really do think he was a better quarterback, man. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, it's just I think Texas are the favorite, uh, going into the next 2025 season, man. I'm just looking down, looking at my notes, man, because I got a lot of stuff written down, man. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I do think that the best guy that was on that Ohio State team, man. I meant to mention this earlier when we were talking about Ohio State. Jeremiah Smith, and I'm gonna be jumping around a little bit between college football talk and stuff like that. Because again, man, I want to get a podcast in this week, but like I say, we have some technology issues, man. Like I say, man, I gotta get these thoughts off, man. I've been wanting to get my thoughts off all week, man. So, but yeah, man, Jeremiah Smith, another guy, man, that I think when he comes out in the draft, this guy will be the first pick or top five pick in the draft. I know. I mean, this guy is just. I mean, for what he did in college football this year, for his age to be 17, 18 years old, to be such a young kid coming and dominating, we haven't seen that in a long time. I think the last time we seen a freshman like ball out like that, in my personal opinion, probably was Jameis Winston or Tim Tebow or Johnny Manziel, one of those guys back then. But we have never seen a freshman at the wide receiver spot, you know, young like him, just dominate. And the other guy from Alabama too, Ryan Williams. I think both of those guys, when they come out, they're gonna be the top five picks. And they both could come out in the same year, so it's gonna be something to see, man. And yeah, man, college football, man, it's crazy now, man. And I already see that, we could project that there will be more changes in college football, man. So I wouldn't be surprised for the New Year start that changes happen. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna, the committee's gonna get together. They're gonna figure out something to just either make it more interesting or to be, man, get more controversial than what it already is, man. So just be prepared for that, man. I'm telling you guys, it's gonna be that's coming. That's coming. Yeah, man. I think that's all on my college football stuff, man. So I also want to come in and talk about um your boy Jimmy Butler, dog. I mean, man, this dude, bro. I mean, when you look at this guy, bro, I stand with Pat Riley, man. I stand with Pat Riley, and I'm not just saying it because I'm a Florida boy, and y'all might see me with the Lakers on, like, because he was an ex-Lakers coach. Nah, ain't got nothing to do with that, man. I look at this right here, man. When you look at the Jimmy Butler situation, man, I stand with Pat because Pat been firm with everybody, dog. He been firm with everybody. He hasn't changed his style up. You know what I'm saying? Like he was firm with Shaq. He was firm with Dwayne Wade. Shit, he was firm with LeBron James. And LeBron James probably wanted more for him and got him to the finals more than any of those guys that I mentioned before, LeBron. And you got Jimmy Butler that think he's special, man. And I think he's trying to do something different other than what these other guys doing to try to buck the system, try to get out of Miami. But it's not gonna work. Pat Riley is a true professional. This guy, he's been around the league for many years, and he has a standard. His standard is his standard. He's not going to break from that. And I get it. Jimmy Butler might be the best player on that team, but when you look at team building and morale and culture, sometimes you have to make a stand, and you got somebody at the top at the management position taking a stand, and that's going to flow down to the team. Uh, they may not make the playoffs with Jimmy, but I do think you have to take a stand sometimes, and sometimes winning doesn't always have to happen to get your team on the right track. And I think once they get Jimmy out of the building, they still have some young pieces like Jamie Vasquez, and not saying that he can, but they got some things there. And I like Eric Spoelstra as a coach that he can get these guys, he can get the season turned around. If they get somebody, they can get somebody in for Jimmy Butler, and that can help, make that playoff push. It's gonna be hard to do, man. I've been hearing stories and rumors around the NBA that the Phoenix Suns is trying to make a push for for Jimmy Butler. And I don't think that's a good look for the Suns, man, because I think they're the last of the super teams, and they just trying to make this thing work. And I think the super team era is over for this. So even if they do get Butler, I don't still think that make them the favorites in the West. I think the West is wide open this year, man. You got teams like OKC, Young. You knew Sam Presti was gonna get another winning team over there, just the way he carries himself as a GM and how he's built the San Antonio Spurs in the past and things like that. So you just knew that was gonna be they was gonna be something. And then you just look at teams like um the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, you can't count those guys out. Young teams, the Denver Nuggets, which is playing good right now under Russell Westbrook. I mean, that marriage between Jokic, him and Jamal Murray, man, those guys are making it work, and the Denver Nuggets look good as well. So I think if they was to go get Jimmy, the Suns, they still would probably be like fifth, sixth best team in the West. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that would be a good look for them if they was to go get, Jimmy. And I mean, again, man, they're trying to make it work, man. But they're the last of the super era, man, or the super teams, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think that if they do end up getting Jimmy, it's not gonna work. It's just not. It's just, I mean, I think right now, if Jimmy, I know he wants to lead, but any team that gets Jimmy gotta know, what they're dealing with. And Jimmy's was a good team player. I just think he's doing his antics right now just to get out of Miami. But I think a team that needs going get him as a competing team, a team that's going for that's an entitled contention, that type of team. Now the thing is with those type of teams, with player, they've got these caps now, so you can't stack teams anymore. So if you're gonna go into that super max tax cut hit, to get Jimmy, if you're a competing team, and that's the question they gotta do. But I already know what Miami gonna do. They're gonna do it the best is them. So if they got to trade that motherfucker to a team that's losing, that's gonna get, hey, we do it. No, Miami gonna do it in the best interest for them, man. That's how they've always been, man. You know what I'm saying, man? So I mean, it is what it is, man. So I look forward to the rest of the NBA season now that the NFL season is winding down. We got 2 games left in the NFL season, the championship games and then the Super Bowl. So my attention on directly focused more on basketball and keeping up with basketball topics and things like that. Following Gales Arenas, playoff podcast P and other content creators, sports content creators that I'll give you some of their stuff from their pages, and we have discussions about some of the topics they have on their page and things like that. But I just want to come on, hop on this live stream real quick, man. I ain't live streamed a long time, man. I felt like I had to come on this mug and live stream, man, because it's been so long. So only right I had to do it on my birthday, man. 4/2, and be on the lookout, man. Cold College Podcast, man. Episode 76 next week is going down live on YouTube. Be on the lookout for it, man. It's your boy Joe, one half of the Co-Pilots Podcast, man. I love you guys. Peace.